Hi, this is Billy. I'm going to get this camera set up and look at my face because it's just bothering me a lot tonight. Just be patient. Haven't been feeling good. Hands are really shaky. And should do it. As soon as I pick this thing up, it moves the buttons. I don't know if you can see where it's like swollen, like this line right here going down. It's inflamed right here. See when I push it in? And then I see, let me make it a little bit bigger. And then on top of that, I can see that like the knotty areas. Then I know that there is a parasite underneath it because they are, just wadded up sometimes. The thing is this, when they get under there and they break down the integrity of the tissue in the skin. I mean, these are regular tweezers, and a lot of times they just picking, something up off the face, it tears the skin. When this first started, they just erupted on their own, but I didn't have this same kind of activity. It's just kind of progressed to this. And so they look very much like hair, just like at a glance. But if you were to like go really close in, first you can see all the white debris all over them. And second, the ends of them are kind of like hooks. And depending on the time of day and the recent activity, they move a lot. But not always. And also, I mean, they're moving most of the time. They're just moving so subtly that you can't see it. I do have a video. I'm not sure if I still have it on my phone or not. But it's like I did a time lapse. And you couldn't see the thing move. But when I sped the video up, then you could see it. And it literally just lifted up out of the alcohol it was in and put his head outside the container. I've got a bowl back here with some peroxide in it. I use the peroxide because that's the one thing I have found that they usually die in. Sometimes it takes a while. All these things that look like white hairs, those are parasites. They're all over my entire body. And sometimes when I pull them out, depending on the situation and the, I guess the age, development, sometimes like a big wad of like what looks like an egg sac or a larvae or something come out with them. And sometimes they come out angry and they're moving a lot. But I think these things have just gotten under my skin and they're escaping through the hair follicles. And they're destroying the hair follicles on their way. Because like when I would pull a hair, like eyebrows, when I was plugging my eyebrows, that's when I kind of figured out that there were parasites in the eyebrows. And they never grew back. It's like this hole here is kind of inflamed. There's like a whole bunch of them coming out of that one hole. And when you see this red and this, it looks like blood, it's actually, there's a larvae, there's a parasite in there that's in a blood cyst. So that's what I call them. I don't know if that's what they're called, but when I pull it out, it's not really blood. It's blood in a combination of other things. I think it's got biofilm mixed in it or something. But it's really sticky, and it makes like a little cyst that they hide in. So I'm thinking that they use that to evade the immune system and the medicine. But there's one of the blood cysts. You can see them coming out of it. I mean, this is, what I'm deducting. But a lot of times if it'll bleed, like the thing ruptures, and there's a whole bunch of larvae coming out with it, and they're spreading everywhere. So I try not to let it, like, run down my face. But a lot of times people will look at my videos, and they're like, that's so gross, you're tearing your skin up. And I used to never touch it because the doctors were always accusing me of, like, making the lesions. But, I would never touch it. And then when I realized that these big, like, you can see that's kind of got, hold on, let me zoom in. You can see those, like, segments on it. So I was trying to find the word. Eventually, though, after hearing the doctors accuse me so much of making the lesions, I just quit worrying about what they thought, and I just would get as many parasites out of my skin as possible, because the way I look at it is every time I get one out, then I'm preventing their millions of eggs from being laid inside me. But you see the hook shape there on the one that's on the top. And then there's another one that's got a different shape. I'll have to find it. I don't know how to describe it. But it, Most of the hairs in my head have those ends. I just keep my head shaved as much as possible. Well, this has come out of my cheek. And these things right there, a lot of times they're moving around, but they'll accumulate with one another and kind of like get longer and longer. But what I'm believing this is, like the one that's twisted, is like a byproduct of the parasite, not the actual parasite. I think the larvae are on it. And, thousands of them get in there. Because you can see all like the larvae, that white dots. But when these things start moving around, I can, dump some peroxide on them. And there's a ton of the larvae that come off of them. You see, all these were like embedded in my cheek. And every time I tell the doctor, I'm accused of being delusional, but at the same time, the doctors never would look at anything. They'd never look at the images, they'd never look at the videos, and they would never look at the parasite on my skin. So that told me that they had no desire to diagnose it, because, any human in the medical field that was, entertaining the goal of saving lives would definitely want to look. Because I guarantee you, if this was coming out of the doctor's face, he would be wanting to try some medicines and get some professionals to help him figure out what it is. I don't know if you can see that one that's coming from the side. It's slightly moving. But I think it's depositing something onto the other piece. So this whole section here is full of them. And this is not bleeding. See, if I rub it, it's not bleeding. It's kind of like paste. And the parasites have created that to get away, to hide inside. I don't know, maybe that's them. Maybe they developed that big, but it looks like a blood cyst to me. from what I can tell, these things are all connected. And they are just wired all under my skin. Because I can... You see that pointy... These like seal up a hole where they're at. But I can start pulling these out of one side of my face, and it'll aggravate them on the other side. So I know they're connected somehow or another. And also I can pull... There's one that's like got a whole cyst around it. It's got that biofilm. And this... I don't know. That just kind of looks like... Gosh, what was the name of that thing? I just literally looked at a parasite online that looked like that. But another thing is I'm having a very hard time finding a lot of data on anything that gets in the hair follicles like this and, takes over them. And I'm very concerned that they're GMO. But another thing that makes me believe that these are on the little byproduct thing that looks like it's kind of like think of it like a spider web. But they kind of use it to move around. And I don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm deducting. And the reason that I believe that is because when I first shaved my head, I bought a wig. And within an hour, all the larvae were on the wig. And the hair on the wig was moving. But right now I'm on a new regimen of protocol to kind of detox. See if I can get these out of here. But every time I start a new protocol, it changes everything at the beginning. And eventually it stops working. They adapt to it. Because there's so many of them. If it would have been treated when I first went to the doctor, I wouldn't have this much trouble getting rid of them. All right, again, that's not blood. That's one of those blood cysts. I'm glad that whole thing came out so you can see it. And that one's moving. He's mad. And if you look, you'll see little tiny things flying off of it. I think they're just spraying the larvae out. That's a lot of movement for that one. I think it's like, I think that might be one that's like covered with larvae. I don't know. All I know is that they move too much to not be alive. So when I'm pulling these things and you think I'm like making, like self-mutilating or something because there's so much blood. They usually, some of them will bust and they'll bleed a little, but once I get the whole thing out, it stops. And it's also very magnified. So it's not as big as you think. I mean, this is a little tiny pair of tweezers. I want to see the bottom of this one. The cyst. Looks like I just crushed it and squeezed a bunch of them out. And then it just kind of slid out. Let's see if there's any. I know there's more, but I mean, any more blood stuff on there. This one kind of busted. Be very careful because every time I touch the front of my phone, I start touching the buttons and it cuts the recorder. It messes up the recorder. I have been so sick that I have been so surprised to wake up the next morning. But right now, I think the medicine is what's making me feel so sick. I think it might be me feeling sick because that it's killing a lot of the parasites and they're releasing toxins. I'm afraid if I don't go ahead and get it all, that it's going to have a bunch of larvae in there. I'd rather have a hole in my face than to have parasites in it. There's like 4 different ones that it could possibly be that I have read about, but it doesn't match either one of them completely as far as species. But at least I'm trying to find the answer. Sometimes these look like Bronchosaurus is sticking up to me. Sometimes they look like seahorses and sometimes they look like dragons. I think the reason that this is like that brown color is because I scrubbed with the wormwood, liquid wormwood last night. I think that's a bunch of dead larvae from me scrubbing with that stuff because that kills them. This one here, they're usually shaped at the end like a fishtail, but it looks like I squeezed it. And it also looks like a lot of those larvae in there are dead. See where it looks like it's frayed on the edge. I may be wrong, but that's what it looks like. I think that wormwood, that liquid wormwood, was killing the ones that were on my face. Ah. Hey, Siri. Sorry. touched the button. I may have to turn it off. No, that's good. I mean, this is a lot thicker than normally. That's why I'm thinking that the liquid wormwood worked. Let me get this back. Oh, never mind. Pushing the wrong button. See, I squeezed that one and busted it. And it looks like this thing came out. All the ones that I find that are big have that general shape that's on that hook end. So even the ones that I pass through my gut do. So I think those just keep building up and building up and building up with those like blood cyst thing until they develop, you know, this casing. Because if I dissect them, there's almost always one of those in the middle of it. I used to be very embarrassed about this, and I never wanted anyone to know. And now I'm so angry with the healthcare system that I want to show everybody, so I can show them what the healthcare system is allowing people to go through. I know that there's still some in there because it still has where it looks like it's bleeding. Because once I get it all that goes away. And I'm pretty sure it's in that elevated spot there. For the first year and a half, I took nothing over the counter at all. Because I was just, as far as oral supplements, because I was determined I wasn't going to let it die without knowing exactly what it was. But I wanted a doctor to diagnose it and to treat it. So I went to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. And I never stopped. I would be leaving one doctor's office that was mean to me and making an appointment at another one on the way out the door. Rapidly. Because my daughter doesn't believe, neither of my daughters believe that the doctors are wrong. And my oldest daughter has 2 girls, my grandchildren, and she won't acknowledge that I'm sick. She just insists that the doctors are right, and that I'm delusional, and that I don't have this disease. And she won't let me talk to my grandchildren till I stop acknowledging this illness. And I can't do that because it's wrong. And I miss my family so much. And the doctors, they took my family from me because she doesn't believe that I'm sick. Because they won't diagnose it. So I wouldn't take anything over the counter because there was no way I could get it diagnosed if I killed it first. I mean, I did try some creams and things, but, that was at the very beginning, before it got out of hand. But as far as what I mean is, I didn't want to do a bunch of protocols. I wanted the doctors to give me the medicine and a diagnosis. When I scrape the edge, I'm just trying to get some of them to come to the top of the surface so I know where to grab. I really shouldn't have mentioned my family, because every time I think about them, all I can do is cry. I miss my family so much. I wasn't going around them because I didn't want to give this to them. So they haven't seen me or seen how sick I am. And they just don't believe it. But this is covering my entire body. And even if they did believe it, I couldn't go around them. But at least I could talk to my grandchildren on the phone and FaceTime with them. They're not going to remember me. They're not going to know who I am. I miss them so much. It hurts so bad. But I can't help it because I have this monster living in my skin. I don't know how to get rid of it. And I can't get the doctors to help me. So all I can do is fight
court and fight the doctors and get the ones who are not there to save people out of our way. That's all I know to do. Because I need my family back.